Hey, chapter 7 and 8 videos seem to have disappeared, so I'm remaking them this morning before my shower. So, this is pretty. Sorry. Okay, chapter 7. Big thing about chapter 7 here. Jem finally tells Scout the secret that he's been moping around for a couple of weeks. Finally, he says, "I've got a secret to tell you." And he tells her that when he went back to get his pants, that they were folded and laying over the fence, like they were just waiting for him. And not only that, but they were sewn up, they were mended, not the way a lady would mend them, but all jagged and look like he would have done it, a 12-year-old boy. And so he's completely creeped out by this, and he's like, can't know, but it was like they knew what I was going to do. Like somebody knew I was going to come back for him. Can't nobody tell what I'm going to do unless they know me. Can they, Scout? And he's really creeped out by this. The next important thing in the chapter is that the kids are finding more and more treasures in the tree. I want you to notice that a lot of the stuff comes in sets of two, just like there's Jem and Scout, two kids. They also find some other things like a ball of twine and a pocket watch and things like that, but most of the stuff comes in twos, especially the soap dolls. When they find those, like, Jem's completely freaked out. Scout's just like, what? But Jem quickly realizes that they are of them, even down to the little details of his hair on his forehead. Scout recognizes that. So they were done by somebody who has watched them, who has seen them, who has studied them, and she's so young, she doesn't figure it out. But Jem has it figured out, and he's like, I think we need to write a thank you note. So they write a thank you note to the person who's putting the stuff in the tree. When they go down there to put the thank you note in, the hole is cemented up. Jem's really upset. Okay. He waits on the porch, and finally, when Mr. Radley walks by, he asks him, did you put the whole cement in that tree? And he's like, yeah. And he says, why'd you do it, sir? And he says, oh, the tree was dying. You know that's what you do, Jem. You fill up the holes with cement when a tree's dying. And he's like, okay. Hold on to that thought for just a second, because then he waits on the porch until Atticus comes home. And when Atticus comes, he says, sir, can I ask you something? Will you look down at that tree? Is that tree sick? And nope, that tree's not sick, son. That tree's as healthy as you are. Are you sure that tree is as healthy as you are, Jem? Why? Well, Mr. Radley said it was sick. And Atticus instantly changes his tune and says, well, then it must be. Mr. Radley knows his trees better than we do. And he walks away. I want you to understand that this is Atticus's way of saying, that's his business. Stay out of it. Stay out of other people's business. They can do what they want to their own stuff, in their own houses, and it's none of your business at all. Keep your nose out of other people's business and leave it alone. The problem is that Jem realizes that that tree is not sick. And when he said to Mr. Radley, why'd you do it, sir? What he was really asking him was, why did you stop the communication that was happening in that tree hole? Jem, in his maturity, has figured out that this is Boo Radley putting the stuff in the tree. And he's doing it as a treat, as something special for the kids. He's communicating with them. He's giving them the treasure, the things that kids count as treasures. Think about some of the collections, the things that you've collected over your lifetime, from bottle caps to rocks to, whatever it is that you have saved. Those are treasures. And Boo Radley has been giving them these treasures. He's been coming out of the house. This guy who hasn't come out for 15 years has been coming out of the house to put stuff in that tree to give to the kids. And when Mr. Radley figures that out, he puts an end to it. He stops it. And Jem understands that Boo Radley isn't doing this to be cruel or mean or scary. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to form a type of friendship with them. Why would his brother, Mr. Nathan, want to put an end to that? And so when he says, why'd you do it, sir? That's what he's really asking. Why did you end that communication? Why did you end that chance for Boo to be a friend? Why were you cruel like that? Jem stands on the porch that night. He doesn't come in. He's really bothered by things, and Scout says that when he comes in, she can tell he's been crying because his face is dirty in all the right places. I want to propose to you why Jem was crying. There's a couple different types of crying, right? There's the poor me, and you got the snot running and the goo's coming out your face and you're drooling and all that. And that's the kind of crying that you do. Oh, it's poor me, it's not fair, everybody hates me, where you're crying for yourself. That's not the kind of crying that Jem's doing. The kind of crying that Jem's doing is the kind that is the silent grief, the silent hurt that comes out where the tears just run down your face and you can't even help it. And you're not making any noise. You're not, hyperventilating, but you just stand there and the tears just flow. Maybe you've never experienced that, but I have. And the times that that happens to me are the times where I have a deep, deep hurt, a deep grief, or deep emotion for someone else. Jem is standing there and he's crying these deep tears of hurt for Boo Radley. He's crying the tears of hurt and grief for the cruelty that is exhibited to Boo Radley. It's not about him. He's not crying because he's not going to get any more toys or treasures or whatever. He's crying because of the cruelty enforced on Boo Radley. And that is a sign of maturity. One of the themes that I will ask you to write about is the maturity of these kids and how they go from the innocence of a child to the maturity of understanding things. This is Jem's moment. When he stands on the porch and cries tears of hurt for someone else, that's a point of maturity. That's a point of growing up, of compassion, that it's not about you. Our theme for this year. It's not about you. It's about somebody else. And when you hurt for somebody else, that's a sign of growing up. And this is Jem's big moment. That's what's important about Chapter 7. Chapter 7's key word is going to be cement. C-E-M-E-N-T. Cement. Send me an email with the keywords from chapters 4 through 10. See ya.